Music. Imagine a little girl, desperate to see her mom, setting an alarm for 3 a.m. just to catch a glimpse of her. Heartbreaking, right? This is the story of Loveth, a 6-year-old yearning for her mother's love. Stay with us on Innocent Stories as we uncover a tale that'll tug at your heartstrings. Doctor, please don't terminate the pregnancy. I want to carry this child to full term. I don't want to lose my baby the way my mom lost me. Arrest all the men in my house. Ella ordered in anger. Every single one of them owes me an explanation for what happened to my daughter. I paid them handsome salaries to serve and protect her, and they have failed her. What could have led to such a shocking moment? Let's dive into the full story on Innocent Stories. It's a summer holiday, and Loveth, a 6-year-old daughter of Mrs. Ella Dixon, decided not to sleep all through the night of a beautiful Thursday, just to see her mom before she went out. The determination to catch a glimpse of her mother made her set an alarm for 3 a.m. As soon as the alarm buzzed, Loveth leapt out of bed and hurried to the sitting room. She sat there, her heart pounding with anticipation, waiting for her mother to appear. As she waited, she said, thinking to herself, I haven't seen my mom for 6 long months. We're in the same house, yet it feels like she's a million miles away. I must see her today. At exactly 3:30 a.m., as was her routine, Mrs. Ella woke up and began getting ready for work. By 4 a.m., she was in the sitting room, dressed and ready to go. Loveth, filled with excitement and emotion, quickly jumped up and ran to her mom. My plan worked. I stayed up just to see you today. Loveth exclaimed, her voice trembling. I've missed you so much. Ella smiled weakly as she gently rubbed Loveth's head and said, I've put some money in the drawer for you. I know you want some chocolates and other treats since school is on holiday. Make yourself very comfortable all through this break. If you don't like the food the chef prepares, tell the driver to take you out to some restaurants so you can get whatever you desire. Enjoy life, my darling. I'm working so hard for you. As Ella spoke, Loveth stared at her, tears welling up in her eyes. Her mother's words, though meant to be comforting, only made her feel more alone. Tears rolled down her cheeks, and with a trembling voice, she said, Mom, I have everything I need in the house. There are cartons of biscuits, chocolates, juice, anything I could want, but none of that matters. I'm just missing you. Ella glanced at the clock, a look of urgency crossing her face. I must go now, Loveth. Call me if you need anything, she said, brushing off Loveth's concerns. With that, Ella made her way to the door, leaving her only child in tears. As the door closed behind her, Loveth's small frame shook with sobs. She ran back to her room, threw herself on the bed, and cried into her pillow. Oh, Mom, I don't want chocolates or treats. I just want to be with you. I want to play with you, to spend time with you. Oh, Mom. Loveth's cries echoed in the silent room, a heartbreaking reminder of what she truly needed, her mother's love and attention. Can you imagine the pain of a child longing for a parent who's always too busy? Keep watching Innocent Stories to see how this unfolds. At 6 a.m., Loveth's nanny, Madame Jennifer, gently knocked on her door, ready to begin her daily duties as usual. However, when she entered the room, she was stunned to find Loveth sobbing uncontrollably. Without a second thought, she rushed over to the little girl, her heart sinking at the sight. Loveth, what's wrong? Madame Jennifer asked urgently, her voice filled with concern. Are you hungry? Are you in pain? What happened? She bombarded Loveth with questions. But Loveth remained silent, her tears flowing freely. Seeing Loveth in such distress, Madame Jennifer pulled her close, wrapping her arms around her in a comforting embrace. My beautiful friend, please talk to me, she pleaded softly. Who hurt you? You know if you stay like this until Uncle Ken arrives, I might get sacked. I don't want that to happen, so please tell me what's wrong. I'll do anything to make you happy. Loveth looked up, her eyes red and swollen from crying. She hesitated for a moment before whispering, You can't fix this, Madame Jennifer, but don't worry, I'll be fine. Madame Jennifer wasn't ready to give up. She gently tilted Loveth's chin, urging her to continue. Please, Loveth, just tell me. You never know, I might be able to help somehow. After a moment of silence, Loveth finally spoke, her voice trembling with emotion. I woke up so early this morning, hoping to feel my mom's love and care. I wanted to spend just a little time with her, but when she finally came out, she couldn't even spare 5 minutes for me. All she did was tell me to get some money from her safe to make myself comfortable. But I don't want money, Madam Jennifer. I want my mom. Can you please call her and tell her how much I miss her presence? Madam Jennifer sighed deeply, understanding the pain Loveth was going through. She pulled Loveth closer and whispered softly in her ear, offering words of comfort and a plan to help ease the little girl's sorrow. Loveth's tear-streaked face softened into a small smile as she listened to Madam Jennifer's words. Thank you so much, Madam Jennifer, she said, her voice a little brighter. I think I can freshen up now and eat my breakfast. With a sense of relief, both Loveth and Madam Jennifer smiled at each other. Together, they prepared to start the day, finding comfort in the plan they had. Later that day, Loveth mustered the courage to call her mom, who was still busy at the office. With a mixture of hope and anxiety, she dialed the number, hoping to connect with her mother in a way she hadn't been able to that morning. Hello, Mom, Loveth said softly when her mother picked up. Just checking on you. How are you doing? Ella responded quickly, her tone brisk and businesslike. Loveth, darling, I'm very good. Do you need anything? Loveth's heart sank at the coldness in her mother's voice. She had hoped for warmth, for some sign that her mother missed her too. No, Mom, she replied quietly. I just called to hear your sweet voice and to tell you how much I've missed your presence. There was a brief pause before Ella's voice came through the line, sharp and impatient. Loveth, I'm working so hard to give you a good life. Being with you all the time would mean you'd miss out on the benefits of the life I'm providing. I can't be here making money and also be there playing games with you. You're not lonely, sweetheart. Enjoy the beautiful life my wealth has created for you. Loveth felt a lump form in her throat as her mother's words hit her like a cold wind. The warmth she had hoped for was nowhere to be found. With her heart heavy, she whispered, Okay, Mom, and then, unable to hold back her disappointment, she ended the call abruptly. Tears welled up in Loveth's eyes as she realized that the thing she craved the most was the very thing she couldn't have. The call, instead of bringing her comfort, left her feeling more alone than ever. A week later, as Ella was immersed in her work at the office, her phone buzzed with an incoming call. Without glancing at the caller ID, she answered. Hello, who is this? A calm, professional voice responded, Good afternoon, my name is Dr. Angela. I'm calling from Baby and Mother Hospital. Ella's tone remained businesslike. Okay, Dr. Angela, what can I do for you? The doctor took a deep breath before delivering the news. I'm calling to inform you that your daughter, Loveth, was rushed here this afternoon in critical condition. Ella's eyes widened in shock. My daughter? What happened to her? She asked, her voice trembling. She requires an urgent blood transfusion, Dr. Angela explained gently. Your presence is needed to donate blood. Ella's voice rose with a mix of panic and frustration. You just said she needs urgent attention. Why must I come before you start treatment? Start the treatment right away. Nothing must happen to my baby. My wealth can buy any amount of blood you need. The doctor remained calm. Madam, we are prepared to do everything necessary, but your blood match is crucial for the transfusion. Also, Madam Jennifer provided us with your number. Sensing the urgency, Ella's tone softened slightly as she asked, Jennifer is with her? All right, I'll contact her, but please, doctor, commence treatment immediately and save my child. Without waiting for a response, Ella ended the call and immediately dialed Madam Jennifer's number. The line barely rang before Jennifer picked up. Hello, Jenny, Ella began, her voice sharp. Why did you take my daughter to that hospital? Why didn't you call our family doctor or rush her to his hospital? You know they have the best professionals there. Jennifer's voice was steady, but there was a hint of exhaustion. I'm sorry, madam, it all happened so fast. Loveth asked me to take a walk with her because she was feeling bored at home. As we were strolling down the street, she suddenly collapsed. At first, I thought she had just missed her step, but when I got closer, I realized she was barely breathing. Ella's heart raced as she listened to Jennifer's recounting of the events. Jesus, why didn't you call me right away? Jennifer continued, her voice tinged with concern. I acted as quickly as I could. I thought getting her to the nearest hospital was the best option. I didn't want to waste any time. Ella took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. Tell the doctor I said to start the treatment immediately and send me the account details and the bill. Thank you, Jennifer, for saving my daughter. Jennifer responded calmly, I'm just doing my job, ma'am. Ella chuckled dryly, though there was no humor in it. Yes, I pay you well to take on the role of a mother for my daughter. Please don't fail me now. Ella returned home late, as usual, finding Uncle Ken, her husband's younger brother, seated in the living room, waiting for her. As she noticed him, she greeted cheerfully, Uncle, I hope all is well. You should be in your room sleeping by now. Uncle Ken smiled warmly and replied, all is well. I just thought it was wise to stay awake until you arrived. After all, it's been nearly 4 months since I last saw you, even though we live in the same house. Ella smiled back. You've been here for the past 5 years, and I believe you've come to understand the nature of my work. If you need some money, I'll send some to your account in the morning. Uncle Ken chuckled. The last amount you sent is still sitting in my account, untouched. Thank you, as always. I actually stayed awake to inform you about Lovetha's illness. She took ill, and the doctor said she needs to be admitted for 3 or 4 days for close monitoring. Ella nodded. I spoke with the doctor and Jennifer this afternoon. I've already taken care of the bill, and I'm sure my daughter will be fine. Uncle Ken's eyes widened in surprise. I didn't realize you'd been informed, but wouldn't it be good to check on her, maybe on your way to the office tomorrow? What for? Ella responded casually. Loveth will be fine. I've done my part by paying the bill, and I think I should leave the doctors to do their work. Uncle Ken, I need to catch some sleep. Good night. Uncle Ken was left astounded, his eyes wide and his mouth slightly open in disbelief. Madame Jennifer sat quietly beside Loveth, gently rubbing her small, delicate hand. The room was hushed, the only sound coming from the steady beep of the machines monitoring Lovetha's condition. Suddenly, Lovetha's voice, barely more than a whisper, broke the silence. Madame Jennifer, she murmured, her eyes fluttering open, where is my mom? Has she come to check on me? Madame Jennifer forced a faint smile, trying to mask the concern she felt deep inside. She hasn't come yet, Loveth, but she promised to be here today. She really does care about you. Lovetha's eyes welled up with tears, and she turned her head slightly away from Jennifer. Stop lying to me, she said, her voice trembling with sadness. My mom only cares about her career and how much money she can make every day. Jennifer's heart ached at Lovetha's words. She wanted to comfort her, to somehow ease the pain that the little girl was carrying. Loveth, your mom does care about you. She's just very busy, but she promised to be here today, and I believe she will come. You're getting stronger, and soon you'll be discharged and back home, where everything will be better. Loveth sighed, her tiny body feeling heavy with disappointment and fatigue. I hope so, she said softly. I do feel better than yesterday, but I just wish, her voice trailed off, and Jennifer squeezed her hand gently. Loveth returned home on the 5th day, having spent 4 days in the hospital. Though everyone in the house was thrilled to have her back, there was a noticeable sadness in her eyes. She barely spoke as she walked into the sitting room and sank into the couch, feeling a weight of loneliness despite the warm welcome. Just then, Uncle Ken's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, recognized the caller, and quickly handed the phone to Loveth. It's your dad, he said softly. Loveth took the phone, her voice low as she answered, Hello, Dad. On the other end, her father's voice was filled with concern. Hello, my darling daughter, how are you? I heard you were ill. Loveth felt a lump in her throat as she replied, Yes, Dad, I was admitted to the hospital for 4 days, but Mom didn't come to see me, not even once. I felt so lonely. I feel like dying. Her voice broke as she continued, Madam Jennifer, Uncle Ken, the cooks, and my home teacher were all so kind to me, but it's not the same. I miss you so much, Dad. Please come back home to me. Her father's voice softened, filled with regret and sorrow. Oh, Loveth, I'm so sorry you felt that way. I still have 8 more years to spend here, but I'll do everything I can to make you feel better. We'll do more video calls, and I'll try to be there for you as much as possible, even from afar. Loveth nodded silently, though tears welled up in her eyes. After a moment of silence, her father added, Loveth, I'll talk to your mom too. She loves you so deeply. Loveth managed a small smile, though her heart still ached. Thank you, Dad. I love you. I love you too, sweetheart, her father replied gently. And I promise we'll get through this. You're stronger than you know, my darling. 5 years later, Loveth was on the school field during a short break, playing with her friends. The play was filled with laughter and chatter. Out of the blue, one of Loveth's friends, Jessica, spoke up with a proud smile. Because of my body size, I've developed more than all of you. My mom bought me a beautiful set of bras yesterday. The other girls smiled. Wow, Charity said, smiling. My mom and I had a long talk about how a girl's body develops. She also gave me some advice. She told me that girls are like a white plain sheet, whatever we allow to be written on it stays forever, and even if we try to erase it, it'll never be the same as the original. Comfort nodded in agreement. My mom said almost the same thing to me. She said that as we grow, we need to do our best to keep ourselves well and make smart choices. She even gave me a little book to read about this new phase of life. As the girls shared their experiences, Loveth remained silent, simply listening to their stories. She watched as her friends excitedly discussed the advice and wisdom their mothers had shared with them. But Loveth couldn't join in the conversation, she didn't have that kind of relationship with her mother. The next day was a Saturday, and as soon as her home teacher, Uncle Matt, arrived, Loveth greeted him with an unusual request. Uncle Matt, can you teach me everything I need to know about my body development? Uncle Matt smiled gently, slightly taken aback by the request. Loveth, I'm here to teach you English, mathematics, and to help you with your homework. I've never taught biology before. But Loveth was determined. Uncle, this isn't for school. I just want to know more about myself and how my body is changing. I know it's something my mom should teach me, but she's always so busy. She doesn't have time for this. Uncle Matt saw the earnestness in Loveth's eyes and understood that this was important to her. He nodded, agreeing to her request. Loveth's face lit up with excitement, and for the first time in 7 years of being her teacher, she gave Uncle Matt a big hug. Thanks so much, Uncle Matt. This means so much to me. As soon as Uncle Matt left, Loveth couldn't contain her joy. She ran out of the study room, her voice filled with excitement as she shouted, Uncle Ken! Uncle Ken! Uncle Ken, who was in the living room, turned around, surprised by her enthusiastic entrance. What's going on, Loveth? He asked with a smile. My teacher, Uncle Matt, promised to teach me what my mom hasn't had time to teach me. I'm so happy because now I'll finally be able to talk to my friends about it. Loveth's excitement was contagious, and Uncle Ken couldn't help but smile. He looked at her with a warmth that only someone who truly cares could offer. Loveth, I haven't seen you this happy in a long time. It's great to see you like this. Remember, you're never alone. You have people here who care about you. Please, always try to stay happy. Everything will be fine. Loveth's smile grew even brighter. Thank you so much, Uncle. You're always there for me. As she walked away, Uncle Ken watched her with a mixture of pride and concern. He was glad to see her smiling, but he also knew how much she missed having her mother around for these important moments. The next class with Uncle Matt was unlike any that Loveth had experienced before. As they sat down together, Uncle Matt began explaining the mysteries of a girl's body in a way that was both gentle and informative. He talked about how a girl's body moves from one stage of development to another, transforming from childhood into a more conscious and beautiful shape. He also lectured her about menstruation. As Uncle Matt spoke, Loveth's face lit up with joy. She felt a deep sense of relief and excitement, finally understanding the changes happening in her body. For the first time, she felt knowledgeable and empowered about her own development. The next day at school, Loveth was eager to share what she had learned. During a break, she gathered her friends and excitedly began the discussion. "Do you know how our bodies are changing as we grow up?" she asked, her voice full of enthusiasm. She went on to explain everything Uncle Matt had taught her, from the stages of body development to the concept of menstruation and its role in preparing the body for fertility. By the time she finished, her friends were clapping and cheering for her. "Wow, Loveth, that was incredible," one of them exclaimed. "You explained it so well. Thank you for sharing this with us." A few months later, Loveth was lounging in the living room when she heard the door open. Madame Jennifer had just returned from the market, carrying a bag filled with something special. "Loveth, come here. I have something for you," Madame Jennifer called out with a warm smile. Loveth hurried over, her excitement palpable, as Madame Jennifer pulled out a set of bras and some beautifully designed pants. Loveth let out a scream of pure joy. "Madame Jenny, is it really time for me to start using these?" she asked, her voice trembling with excitement. Madame Jennifer nodded, her eyes twinkling with affection. "Yes, my darling. I've noticed how much your body has grown, and I thought it was time to get you something special. You're growing up so beautifully, and you deserve these." Overcome with gratitude, Loveth threw her arms around Madame Jennifer in a tight hug. "Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to me." Madame Jennifer was taken aback by the intensity of Loveth's excitement. "You seem so happy today. What's got you in such high spirits?" Loveth smiled brightly. "You just made my day, Madame Jenny. Some of my friends have already started wearing bras, and it made those of us who were not yet using them feel a little left out. But now, I can walk into school with my head held high. I feel like I'm finally catching up." Madame Jennifer chuckled softly, her heart swelling with pride. "Welcome to a new phase, Loveth. You're growing into a fine young lady." The next day at school, during the short break, Loveth called two of her closest friends and whispered to them, "I am now a big girl. I now wear a bra." Each girl, beaming with pride, echoed, "Me too." Loveth brought out a paper label. "Look at these designs," she said, showing them the paper label of her newly shopped underwear. One of her friends exclaimed, admiring Loveth's new underwear label, "This design is so pretty. I'm definitely asking my mom to buy me something like this." Another friend nodded in agreement. "I love these. They're so much nicer than what I have. I'm going to tell my mom too." Loveth couldn't help but smile as her friends admired her new clothes. For the first time in a long while, she felt a deep sense of belonging. Loveth was buzzing with excitement over her new phase of life, and she couldn't wait to share her joy with Uncle Matt. After class that day, as Uncle Matt was gathering his things, Loveth approached him with a wide grin on her face. "Uncle Matt, I have a surprise for you," she said, her voice filled with anticipation. Uncle Matt looked at her curiously, nodding with interest. "Oh, what's the surprise, Loveth?" Loveth could barely contain herself. "Madame Jenny bought me a beautiful set of bras and pants," she exclaimed. Without thinking, she showed him the new set that was still kept in the shopping bag, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Aren't they beautiful, Uncle?" Uncle Matt was caught off guard by Loveth's enthusiastic display. He froze for a moment, unsure how to respond. Finally, he forced a smile and said, "Yes, Loveth, they're very nice, but I really need to go now. It's getting late." As soon as Uncle Matt left, she decided to share her joy with Uncle Ken as well. Rushing into the living room, she found Uncle Ken reading the newspaper. "Uncle Ken, guess what?" she called out, her face glowing with excitement. Uncle Ken looked up from his paper, intrigued. "What is it, Loveth?" Loveth eagerly pulled out the rest of her new bras and pants from their case and showed them to him. "Madame Jenny bought me these. I am now a big girl. I have started wearing them already." Uncle Ken smiled warmly at her, appreciating her enthusiasm. "They're lovely, Loveth. I can see you're really happy about this new phase in your life." Loveth nodded vigorously. Yes, Uncle, I feel so grown up now. Uncle Ken's smile softened. It's wonderful that you're embracing this new stage, Loveth, but remember, with this new phase comes a need to be cautious. You're growing up, and that means you have to be careful and make sure no one takes advantage of you. Loveth looked at him thoughtfully, understanding the seriousness in his tone. I will, Uncle Ken. I'll be careful. Good, Uncle Ken replied, still smiling. I'm proud of you, Loveth. You're growing into a fine young lady. Just remember, you can always come to me or Madam Jenny if you have any questions or need help with anything. She nodded as she walked back to her room. Loveth was determined to share her latest milestone with her mother, Ella, even though she knew her mom often came home late. That night, she stayed up waiting in the living room, her eyes glued to the TV but her mind elsewhere. She rehearsed in her head how she would tell her mom about her new bra, the one that made her feel more grown-up, more like the other girls at school. When Ella finally walked through the door, her face showed a mixture of exhaustion and surprise. Loveth, there's school tomorrow. What are you still doing awake? She asked, her tone more tired than concerned. Loveth's heart pounded in her chest. I have something special to tell you, Mom. I had to stay awake to wait for you. Ella frowned, already impatient. What is it, my darling? Make it quick. With a nervous smile, Loveth slowly unbuttoned her nightgown, revealing her new bra underneath. Mom, guess what? She said, her voice filled with anticipation. Ella looked at her daughter, but her tired eyes didn't register any change. Just tell me, Loveth. I'm not in the mood for any pranks. Loveth's face fell as her excitement drained away. Mom, I'm wearing a bra now. I'm becoming a big girl. But instead of the warm response she had hoped for, Ella merely sighed and brushed past her, heading toward her room without a word. Loveth stood there, stunned, as tears welled up in her eyes. She had been so excited to share this moment with her mom, to feel connected to her in some small way, but Ella's indifference cut deep, leaving Loveth feeling more alone than ever. The tears began to flow freely, each one a painful reminder of how distant her mother had become. 8 months later, Ella was in her office, enjoying a lively conversation with two of her friends who had dropped by for a visit. The room was filled with laughter and chatter when suddenly Ella's phone buzzed on the table. Still in high spirits, she answered the call, putting it on speaker so she could continue the conversation with her friends. Hello, this is Ella Dixon. Who's calling, and what do you need? She asked, her tone brisk. A calm but urgent voice responded, Hello, Mrs. Dixon, this is Dr. Alex from Grace and Mercy International Hospital. Your daughter was rushed here a few minutes ago. Ella's smile froze, and her eyes widened in shock. My daughter? What happened to her? She demanded, her voice shaky as her friends fell silent, their expressions turning serious. The doctor's voice was steady but cautious. Mrs. Dixon, this isn't something I can fully explain over the phone. She was brought in from school, and two of her teachers are here with her. Would you like to speak with one of them? Before Ella could respond, the doctor handed the phone to one of the teachers. Hello, Mrs. Dixon, the teacher began, sounding nervous. We couldn't reach you right away, so we brought Loveth to the hospital due to the urgency of the situation. She was playing with her friends on the field when she suddenly sat down, complaining of feeling weak. Before we could intervene, she fainted. Ella's heart raced, her mind spinning as she tried to process the information. Fainted? My daughter fainted, she echoed in disbelief. Yes, ma'am, the teacher continued, her voice filled with concern. She's conscious now, but she's very weak. The doctors need your presence to sign some papers before they can begin the full treatment. Ella hissed, shaking her head. What nonsense! I can't leave my office right now. I'm in the middle of something important. Just tell the doctor I'll send whatever amount of money is needed for the treatment. He should do whatever it takes to save my child. Her friends, listening, nodded in agreement, showing their support for her decision. Ella, feeling validated, ended the call abruptly, dismissing the urgency of the situation. As she turned her attention back to her friends, Ella's friends shared knowing smiles, basking in their shared philosophy. These people don't realize that we have zero tolerance for idleness, one of them remarked, adjusting her designer handbag. We're career women. Anything money can handle doesn't need our time. Time is life, and when we save time, we make more money, the only currency that can make anything possible. The others chimed in, nodding in agreement. Just as they were settling back into their conversation, Ella's phone buzzed again. She glanced at the screen, seeing Dr. Alex's name flash across it. "It's the doctor," she said, her voice betraying a slight unease. "He's probably calling back to discuss the bill." "Go ahead, pick up the call," one of her friends urged, motioning for Ella to answer. Ella put the phone back on speaker and answered, trying to maintain her composure. "Hello, Dr. Alex, what's the update?" Dr. Alex's voice was tense, filled with urgency. "Mrs. Dixon, I need you to listen carefully. Your daughter, Loveth, is 3 weeks pregnant. The situation is critical. The pregnancy is ectopic, meaning it's growing outside the womb. If you don't get here in a few minutes to sign the necessary documents, we might not be able to save her." The words hit Ella like a thunderbolt. Her entire world seemed to spin out of control as the color drained from her face. She tried to speak, but no words came out. Her body swayed, and before anyone could react, she collapsed into her chair, her phone slipping from her hand. Chaos erupted in the room. One of her friends quickly grabbed the phone, taking over the call as panic set in. "Doctor, please give us the hospital address." "We're on our way," she demanded, her voice shaking as she tried to steady herself. Meanwhile, the others scrambled to call for help, running out to inform Ella's staff and the security. Ella finally arrived at the hospital, her heart pounding as she rushed to Loveth's bedside. She found Loveth lying pale and weak on the hospital bed, her eyes swollen from crying. Ella hesitated before sitting down on the chair beside her daughter, trying to steady her trembling hands. She reached out, brushing a stray lock of hair from Loveth's face. "Loveth, my darling, who did this to you?" Ella's voice was laced with desperation, tears forming in her own eyes as she searched Loveth's face for answers. "Please tell me, who's been hurting you? Who did this to you?" Loveth remained silent, her gaze fixed on the ceiling as tears continued to stream down her cheeks. Ella's pleas grew more frantic. "Loveth, please talk to me, my daughter. I'm here now. I need to know who has been touching you, who did this." Finally, Loveth decided to answer her mother, her eyes filled with a mixture of pain, anger, and betrayal. "I've been longing to talk to you for years, Mom," Loveth whispered, her voice barely audible but laced with bitterness. "But you were never ready to listen. You were always too busy for me. And now I don't want to talk to you at all." Ella's breath caught in her throat as she watched her daughter's face twist with hurt. "Please, Loveth, I'm here now. Talk to me." But Loveth's anger boiled over. "Leave my side," she screamed, her voice breaking the sterile silence of the ward. "Get out. I don't want you here." The commotion brought the doctor and 2 nurses rushing into the room. They looked from Loveth to Ella, assessing the situation quickly. The doctor explained, "Loveth wants to continue with the pregnancy despite the risks. She insists on making this decision herself." Ella's face contorted with anger and disbelief. "No, this can't be happening. You cannot allow this. She cannot have this child." Loveth, her face set with determination, looked directly at her mother. "Mom, allow me to make this decision. I've been responsible for my own life since I was a child. I don't need your advice on this matter." Ella's resolve wavered as she approached Loveth's bed, her voice faltering. She reached out to touch her daughter's hand gently. "Loveth, please talk to me. Who did this to you? I want to fight for you. I need to make sure you get justice. I want them to know that I am your mother." Loveth managed a faint smile through her tears. "Mom, they were just doing their jobs. You paid them well to make me happy, and that's what they did." Ella's face hardened with realization. "I suspected as much. I knew someone among the staff must be involved. That's why I had them all arrested." Loveth shook her head, her tears flowing freely. "Don't fight anyone because of me, please. Just let it be. I don't want any more pain or conflict. Ella looked at her daughter, the weight of her guilt and the pain of the situation pressing down on her. 2 days later, Lovetha's condition had deteriorated significantly, yet she remained adamant about keeping the child. Frustrated and desperate, Ella approached the police, pleading for them to release Madame Jennifer so she could talk to Loveth directly. Madame Jennifer was finally permitted to visit Loveth in the hospital. She sat beside Loveth, gently stroking her hand in an attempt to offer comfort. "Loveth, my dear, please, you must allow the doctor to terminate this pregnancy. It's far too risky for you to carry it to term." Lovetha's eyes filled with tears as she responded, "Does this mean I have to abandon my baby to its fate? I can't just let it go." Jennifer's expression softened with concern. "Loveth, the pregnancy is a life growing inside you, but your body is not yet ready for such a responsibility. It's not safe for either you or the baby to continue. Please, you must let go." Loveth took a deep, shuddering breath and nodded. "All right, Madame Jennifer. If this is the only option, then please ask the doctor to proceed with the termination." Jennifer proceeded, "Loveth, please, I need to know who is responsible for this. I need to understand how it all happened." Lovetha's voice was trembling. "There were 2 men involved. I'm afraid to tell you because I know my mom would want to seek revenge." Jennifer's eyes widened in shock. "2 men? Loveth, please tell me their names and how it happened." Loveth hesitated, tears streaming down her face. "Their names are Uncle Matt and Uncle Ken." Jennifer listened, her heart heavy with the gravity of the revelations. Loveth began, "It all began when you bought me the first set of bras. I was so excited, sharing the news with everyone, my friends at school, Uncle Matt, my home teacher, Uncle Ken, my dad's uncle. All of them were happy with me and gave their piece of advice. I decided to share the good news with my mom as well, but I was surprised by her cold reaction to me. She dampened my spirit, and I was unable to share anything about my body development with her. So thereafter, I began to share my mind with Uncle Matt and Uncle Ken. And one day, when I noticed that my menstruation had started, I went to Uncle Matt's house to break the good news to him and also to seek more knowledge about it. And I did the same with Uncle Ken at home. He also shared his thoughts with me. Uncle Matt asked me to visit him again when my menses stopped, which I did, and that was how it all started. After which, he lectured me about it. I excitedly discussed my first experience with Uncle Ken, and 2 days after, he asked me to come to his room, and he did the same to me. Though I never knew it would result in this. I'm sorry, Madame Jennifer, for not sharing my experiences with you also. I was carried away with the way they celebrated the milestone of my body development, and it gave me a sense of belonging, even among my classmates. I talked to them based on my experiences, and I loved the respect they were giving me for knowing more than them, while I was always eager to maintain that position among my peers. Madame Jennifer, deeply moved by Lovetha's painful revelation, had been silently sobbing as she listened. Once Loveth finished her story, Jennifer rose and called for Ella to join her in the hospital ward. When Loveth was wheeled into the operating theater, Madame Jennifer sat down with Ella and began recounting the entire situation. Ella's face turned pale with shock as Jennifer revealed the details. "I can't believe Uncle Ken did this to my child," Ella exclaimed, her voice filled with betrayal. "The man we took in out of kindness, who had been living under the bridge for 6 years before we found him." Ella continued, her voice trembling. "Uncle Ken had lived in the U.S. since he was a teenager. He married a white woman and had 2 children with her. However, when he returned home for his elder brother's funeral, he took another wife and got her pregnant before going back to America. When his American wife discovered his secret marriage, it led to a fight, and eventually, she sent him back home. On returning, he found that his so-called wife was actually part of a scheme to accumulate wealth for herself and her original husband, and he was left destitute." She paused, wiping her tears. "For the past 8 years, we've taken him in, providing him with everything he needed, and now this is how he repays us, by hurting my daughter." In her anguish, Ella summoned 4 policemen to her house. She voiced her frustration, insisting, "The real criminal was the one we left at home." Upon returning home, Ella frantically called out, "Uncle Ken! Uncle Ken, come out! Your secrets have been exposed. As she searched every room, her calls went unanswered. Her heart sank when she noticed a letter placed on the center table. Tears streamed down her face as she unfolded and began reading the letter. Dear Ella Dixon, by the time you read this, I will be far beyond your reach. I confess that I was tempted by loveth, and I deeply regret the actions I took. I never intended to repay your kindness this way, but circumstances and my own weaknesses led me to make these grievous mistakes. I understand the hurt I have caused you, and for that, I am truly sorry. I hope Loveth survives this ordeal and can find healing. The money you and your husband generously provided has given me the means to start a new life elsewhere. Please don't waste any more time or energy searching for me. Our paths will not cross again. Once again, I am profoundly sorry for the pain I have caused. Farewell and good night, Mr. Ken Dixon. Ella clutched the letter to her chest, overwhelmed by the betrayal and anguish. Ella collapsed into a chair, her body shaking with sobs as she reflected on the pain and betrayal she had caused her daughter and the loyal people around her. Just then, her phone buzzed with an urgent call. Hello, madam, you need to come to the hospital immediately. Loveth's condition has become unstable, the voice on the other end said. Desperate and disoriented, Ella was helped to her feet by the policeman, and one of them drove her to the hospital. Upon arrival, Dr. Alex approached Ella with a grim expression. The surgery was successful, but Loveth fell unconscious shortly after. We are monitoring her closely and doing everything we can to stabilize her, he said. As Ella stood there, heartbroken, Madame Jennifer approached her with a heavy heart. I need to tell you something, she began, her voice trembling. 6 years ago, when Loveth was deeply depressed and longing for your presence, we devised a plan to bring you to her. We arranged with a hospital to fabricate a story that she was critically ill and needed a blood transfusion. Loveth was admitted for 4 days, hoping that you would come to see her. But despite our efforts, you never came. Instead, you sent me an excessive amount of money, far more than the actual medical bills, to ensure her safety and well-being. Jennifer's voice cracked as she continued. You provided her with everything money could buy, but you never gave her the one thing she needed most, your love and attention. Loveth cried for 4 days, waiting for a touch of your love that never came. You failed her in the most crucial way. Madame Jennifer handed Ella a letter and said, This is my resignation letter. While I am grateful for the generous pay, I cannot continue working for you. I have learned a profound lesson from your life, which I wish to hold dear to my heart. If you are not willing to be a parent to a child, then do not bring one into the world. Children need more than material things, they need parents' love and attention. With that, Madame Jennifer walked away, leaving Ella to grapple with the weight of her choices and the impact they had on her daughter's life. Ella was overwhelmed by Madame Jennifer's words but focused on one thing: she needed to see her daughter. Desperate, she pleaded with the doctor, who finally allowed her into Loveth's room. Ella sat beside her unconscious daughter, tears streaming down her face as she gently held Loveth's hand. I'm so sorry, my darling, Ella whispered, her voice choked with emotion. I promise from now on, I will give you all the attention and love you deserve. Please wake up, Loveth. I need you, my baby. I'll never leave your side again. Ella refused to leave the room, repeating the same promises over and over, hoping her words would reach Loveth's heart. For 24 hours, Ella sat by her daughter's side, barely eating nor sleeping, her hand never leaving Loveth's. She prayed silently, begging for a chance to make things right. Then, a miracle happened. Loveth sneezed, and her eyelids fluttered open. Ella gasped, her heart leaping with joy and relief. Loveth, my baby, you're awake, she cried, her voice trembling. She repeated her promises to be a better mother. Loveth, still weak, looked at her mother with tired eyes. If you had been there for me, Mom, my life wouldn't have turned out like this, she whispered, her voice filled with a mix of pain and longing. Ella nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. I know, my love, I know. But I'm here now, and I'll never leave you again. A week later, Loveth was discharged from the hospital. As they left, Ella was determined to make things right. She adjusted her lifestyle, cutting back on work and making time for her daughter. She became the loving, caring, and attentive mother that Loveth had always longed for. They spent time together, talking, laughing, and rebuilding their bond. Ella was no longer the distant, career-driven woman she had been. She was now fully present in her daughter's life, showering Loveth with the love and attention she had always needed. In the end, Loveth found peace in her mother's transformation, and slowly, she began to heal from the trauma of her past. So, my besties, what are the moral lessons you took from this story? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below, in your own language, and please specify your country as well. My quick advice to all parents: parenting is not child's play. Please don't bring a child into the world if you can't give them the love and attention they need. For more interesting stories, check out Innocent Stories for titles like The Mysterious Twins, The Little Orphan, He Impregnated the Two of Them Same Day, The Smelling Princess, and The Rejected Twins. Thanks for watching. God bless you. I love you all.